What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Our Shared Experience. I am going to start off this morning with a little bit of past information about me and see how it could tie into and relate to our shared experience about it. So I'm going to dive right in and just, when I was younger, I had a speech impediment. I actually, my grandma used to call me Tweety Bird, her little Tweety Bird, which is pretty messed up actually. But I always liked it and loved it because she did it out of love. And yeah, I had a speech impediment. I had a hard time pronouncing words correctly. I definitely still feel like there's this dyslexia that I have that is not in the traditional sense of dyslexia where letters look backwards and things like that, but in this if two things are kind of similar, my brain will confuse them, and it kind of happens sporadically throughout my life. But I think the speech impediment thing is something that I'm now, at this point in my life, able to look back on and understand why I am reacting to certain things in a certain way. And what I mean by that is I have this general feeling in my life of being misunderstood, or not always being misunderstood, but when I am misunderstood, it affects me very much. And being someone who's on social media all the time, who's made a career having a voice and specifically speaking out and talking, one of the big things I get a lot is that I'm a very cocky person, and I think there's this general sense that it bothers me so much when people think that I'm cocky or my online presence is like this cocky guy, because I believe in that I'm not. I believe that I do have a lot of self-love. I do have a lot of, I do self-promote a lot because I understand the value of that in relation to building an audience and pulling in sponsors and having sort of people out there who are looking for someone with my skill level and achievements to look at and bring in and reward and be a part of something else. So I do understand how it could be misconstrued, but there's still this feeling that I get from when someone doesn't fully understand what I'm saying, and I do believe that everybody comes from their own perspective. So one thing that you need to always take into consideration, which is something that I've been doing more and more recently, is that people are bringing their own issues to whatever it is that you are saying, doing, or putting out there. Especially if you're someone that's trying to build a social media following, people have insecurities, and they're going to, whatever you do, they're going to misconstrued your words and actions and allow it to tell their own story in their best way possible. So what we need to do is not misconstrue our own personal issues by being, misunderstood and how that's an issue for me. I need to also be aware of my own as well as other people's. And that's where that idea of perspective really comes into play. So, I think I don't know how to deal with this thing, but what I think that the thing I'm learning the most about working on myself and working on issues and digging into the reason I react is recognizing it and just being conscious, right? I think consciousness is sometimes considered like a very woo-woo thing, being present, being conscious, being woke in that sense. But what I think we need to do is just be aware. So next time, and it can be simple things, if I say something to Bree, my wife, and she goes, "What?" And then I say it again, and maybe I muffled it or whatever, and she goes, "What'd you say?" I tend to have this anger or negative reaction, and I say it louder and a little bit more aggressively, and she meant no harm. She's not saying what because I'm not speaking correctly or she's misunderstanding me. She just literally can't hear what I'm saying. So when I have that reaction, it's very interesting to me because I need to be very conscious and aware that that reaction is coming from like this deep insecurity within me that is this feeling of being misunderstood. And I have to assume and relate and guess that it has to do with just this past, right? These past traumas, these past scars that still haven't healed from me saying a word and people laughing or not understanding and teachers not getting it, or my brother and sister poking fun at the idea that I'm saying a word in a certain way. And it could be the simplest things. I remember I used to say dragon as like dragon or something like that. I don't know. And my sister kept making me say it. And I don't hold any of those people in my past accountable, or I'm not mad about any of it. I'm just realizing at this point that little things like my wife not hearing what I'm saying, like people on social media not understanding the point of the story or the value of the stuff that I'm giving out, and they're just reacting in a way that isn't what I thought or how I thought they would react, right? Tying back to this concept of preconceived notions or expectations, right? I expect them to understand me, and then someone doesn't. So now I'm dealing with this concept that we've talked about in the past about dealing and accepting our expectations in relation to what someone else is actually reacting and how the situation actually unfolded. So, the deeper we get into these podcasts and videos, the more you guys are seeing this trend of like my thought process and these themes that keep popping up, and you have expectations, you have, just past traumas, dealing with fear, all these different things, being creative, the way we approach our problem solving. You'll tend to see a lot of these talking points continue to be reiterated on these future casts, because I think there's so much value in relating it to my current state of mind and the way that I'm processing my life and the issues around me. And hopefully you guys can all relate to that. And maybe today you can look into yourself and try to understand, maybe you're reacting to your boyfriend or girlfriend in a certain way. Maybe your sadness is coming, or you have this thought that keeps popping up from childhood or a memory, right? Not a lot of people realize that they have these reoccurring memories that are brought on from past trauma in their childhood. Because I think a lot of times we don't think about our past as trauma. We don't think about our past as things that need to be healed. But in reality, if it's something we're still thinking about and we're not able to release from our past, then it's something that we need to deal with. And that is why I believe it keeps reoccurring. That thought, that memory keeps happening, because it's our mind and our body, our subconscious, reminding us that, hey, this thing is here, it's present, and you need to fix it, heal it, or at least acknowledge it, so that in the future, right, release the past. In the future, when things come up, we are able to work on it. And I think I'll leave you guys with that and try to be aware of that today as you continue on with your day. Just like, is there something that I'm reacting to in a way that I can fix or be conscious of, right? It's not even about fixing. It's just about being aware, bringing those subconscious reactions to a conscious surface level so that we can acknowledge it and just move past it. Yeah, whatever. I hope this helped. Thank you guys for tuning in and listening. If you're listening to this on any major podcast platform, be sure to leave a review, subscribe, and if you're on YouTube, hit that notification bell and give me a like if you enjoyed this video. Thank you guys for tuning in to this intimate video about me, my past, and as you could see, having a speech impediment and dealing with that in a past is probably why I love to speak and get in front of camera and record these and get to hear my own voice and learn how I'm speaking and fix those things that might not be up to par with what I expect of myself. So thank you guys for listening, and peace out.